Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be diving back into the Bitcoin and Ethereum chart, and we're also going to be finishing up talking about the Bitcoin dominance. These are three of the most important charts, and all three have actually followed very closely to what I outlined in my prior videos. Now that we're seeing Bitcoin starting to kind of pull back a little bit at resistance, now that we're seeing Ethereum actually lead the market, there's a lot of really important updates that we need to know of in how to actually be more profitable over the next coming weeks. There is going to be a lot of new money flooding into these markets, something that we're already seeing right now, but this is literally only the beginning of this, and we're about to see a lot more coming through over this next little while. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 20,000 members growing. Links are in the description for the people that want to sign up and join my community. Share your own thoughts on the market. On top of that, if you're new, just getting into these markets, maybe you made a few mistakes, maybe you're just wanting to further your own education, I have a free ebook that's also linked in the description that you guys can download. It's going to help you guys out tremendously because I've put a lot of really cool information in there to teach you guys how to be more profitable. So check it out. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start off today by talking about Bitcoin, and there's a lot of really cool updates that I wanted to give you guys. In my last video, what I was pointing out was the potential of this bearish divergence forming, and the way I drew this was like this. I saw that we made a higher high in price. We were about right here at just under 40,000. And I said that it was looking like we could get one sell-off here. Now, this sell-off was not nearly as big as I would have wanted to see for a true bearish divergence. But what we can still see forming here is we've had three higher highs. But notice how we're still making lower highs on the RSI and lower lows. This to me is telling me that even though we didn't actually fulfill the original bearish divergence that I was showing you guys, it's still following it nonetheless. This is a three drives pattern. When you get three higher highs and you can see lower highs and lower lows on the RSI, that still shows that there's a lot of buyer exhaustion taking place. And the fact is, guys, we're right at resistance. Notice how this move actually broke above that resistance and then sold back down below. This is what you call a deviation from that trend. Now, yeah, it is possible that Bitcoin could continue to make a higher high because the thing is with a 4-hour divergence, it's not going to be the most accurate, but oftentimes it is. And so we could still see Bitcoin pop back above for a second. Maybe we make one more high. But regardless, guys, I'm still holding to my analysis that basically states that this is some short-term buyer exhaustion and we will get a pullback in here. And I have a couple reasons for explaining that. I'm going to cover Ethereum and explain to you guys why I actually think that that is another one of my indicators I'm using for a pullback that we should be expecting to see soon. And so right now, guys, I don't necessarily foresee us continuing to go up much higher until we get a bigger pullback. Where I would like to see a pullback to go and actually re-enter would be about 34,500 or approximately this red line. And let's actually delete this line and let's make this one green so it's a little bit easier for the people to see. This is what I would like to be watching for. I would like to see a rejection here, fall down, and then get one more low all the way back down to about 34.5. If we can see 34.5, I think that that's going to set us up for a truly remarkable buying opportunity for low leverage long positions. That's really my big focus right now, because the thing is, guys, you know, if you've been watching this channel, you know that I've accumulated my long terms for, you know, a very long period of time. You know that last year in 2020 is when I stopped accumulating for my long terms because I wanted to be able to hold for at least a year and a day and hit that long-term capital gains tax threshold for just a smooth 20% off the top rather than qualifying for short-term capital gains closer to 30. And so this is kind of the thing that I've been watching for is, you know, now that I already have all my positions, I've already, you know, built those over the course of the last couple years, really 3 years. I'm to the point now where the only positions I'm necessarily looking for will be random low cap opportunities with small position sizing or low leverage longs. And that's really the staple of today's video and the last few updates has been low leverage longs. When am I going to take those low leverage longs? And this is actually what it's looking like right now. You know, we're still seeing buyer exhaustion, lower lows, lower highs on the RSI, higher highs, higher lows on the price chart, which to me tells me that the buyers are getting exhausted. The fact is we're right at this major resistance. And not only that, guys, but if we remove these drawing tools, let's go to about a daily time frame and let's talk about another resistance. Now, we have this resistance here as well. Notice how this is a rejection at that resistance. We really need to break outside of this one if we're gonna fully cement ourselves as being bullish big picture. And I'm not fully surprised that, you know, we're rejecting at our first attempt, because keep in mind, guys, this was just a quick move straight to that resistance, zero pullbacks inside of here. And now that we're hitting it, to me, it makes sense that we would get a little pullback here. Back down to about 34.5. And then ultimately I would expect that we were going to get a break from that level. Because you guys already know my analysis I've drawn for the last little while. I said that unless we can break above this $40,000 level, a clean break, and actually get all the way upwards of 47, then that was going to be one of the scenarios. But my first scenario is actually that we come up, tag this resistance at 41K, and then we pull back down to 34.5. And thus far, now that we're seeing this pullback at resistance, now we're seeing a lot of bearish divergence forming at resistance, I'm just further confident that that is ultimately what we will get, and that's really what I want. And I think that this will be a good opportunity. Don't get too shaken up, don't get too greedy right now trying to buy when all of the market's going up, because we're seeing a lot of gains throughout, you know, a number of these different altcoins. And so if you're seeing this, you're feeling left out, understand that there will be a little correction that you're going to be able to actually use to compound those gains, buy the dip, make some low leverage long positions that you can hold for the next few months. That's my plan. That's what I'm watching for. And thus far, Bitcoin is still following to that plan. We have gone slightly higher than I initially thought, but regardless, guys, we barely broke above this 41K level and then we immediately sold back down. That's what's called deviation. Kind of the same thing that happened up here. Notice how we got this same type of pattern at the top of Bitcoin cycle, right? We get the same 3 higher highs, and then throughout that time, if I pull up the RSI, we can see that we had a mountain of bearish divergence forming throughout that entire period. So from this point here, we had bearish divergence that formed, but from these 3 highs, we had 3 lower highs on the RSI and 3 higher highs in price. Now, this is pretty much the same exact pattern as we're seeing here on the shorter time frames, which is why I do expect that we're going to get a little pullback back down to 34.5. So that's what I'm watching out for with Bitcoin. Now, guys, let's actually cover Ethereum, and I'll give you guys further insight as to why I believe that we're about to see a pretty decent sized pullback, a good pullback for an opportunity of us getting back in. The people that have waited, the people that have wanted a more conservative outlook or a more conservative entry price to get into the market. Like I said, I've been looking for low leverage longs. I'm going to be patient when it actually comes to taking those, because it's really easy to screw yourself on margin, and I'm trying to be as smart as possible with it. Now, first things first, guys, we have seen a number of these green candles. Let's count them in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So basically 2 weeks of nothing but green candles throughout this period. That is something that very rarely happens. And the fact is, guys, we're having all of these green candles and they're coming perfectly at the exact same point of resistance. So we have our first major resistance inside of this move. This has been pretty much the biggest resistance that we've needed to break. If we're going to break above this, obviously that proves that we're going to see a lot more new all-time highs. We're going to be breaking these all-time highs, because if we can flip this level, that to me is when we're going to see a ton of retail money start jumping back to the market. Everybody's going to get really everybody's going to get very optimistic with seeing that, and that's what's going to cause the price to ultimately break and go into new all-time highs. Now, the thing is, guys, if you maybe don't understand what is happening in the next 4 days, there is actually going to be a major upgrade inside of the Ethereum blockchain known as EIP-1559. Now, for the people that don't know what that is, for the people that do, I'll just explain it anyways. Basically, EIP-1559 is what is going to basically be the hard fork of ETH 2.0. It's going to be the upgrade for ETH 2.0, which if you guys don't know what ETH 2.0 is, you guys definitely need to do some research on that, because it's a very important thing. Basically, the problem with Ethereum is it's proof of work, right? That's the same thing as what Bitcoin is. That's why we have miners that process the transactions. The problem with this is when the network effect of one of these grows, the transaction speeds actually are diminished significantly, and the the amount of power required to actually process those transactions constantly goes up and up and up. And so this is basically the old way of blockchain. It's what Bitcoin originally was. It's what started blockchain technology in general. And we're starting to see, you know, a lot of these new projects migrate towards what's called proof of stake. So instead of using, you know, instead of using miners and computer processors to process the transactions for us and solve all of the hash in the blockchain, basically what's going to happen is we're going to have proof of stake, meaning stakers are going to lock away their Ethereum, specifically 32 ETH is how you run a node. They're going to lock it up, and they're basically going to donate that 32 Ethereum for the transaction. And all of the people that are transacting on the blockchain can assure themselves that the transaction will go through because they have stakers and the people that are running these nodes that are basically giving all of their ETH to the blockchain. So we don't have to trust that there's going to be a third party. This is what makes it decentralized. Basically, to make it truly decentralized and peer-to-peer, we need somewhat of a backing of the transaction, right? And so this is where instead of miners, where miners used to come in and process the transactions for us in a peer-to-peer way with Bitcoin, that was slow, inconvenient, and expensive. We're starting to see a migration over to proof of stake. And basically what that means is instead of miners, you have stakers that basically lock up a portion of their Ethereum, and that's just a surety that the transactions will go through. They don't have any access to it. They don't touch it. They can't do anything. And that's just used as collateral to process transactions, right? And that's what keeps it peer-to-peer. This actually saves on transaction fees, makes the blockchain way faster and better in every single way. And so this is actually what is coming for Ethereum. In fact, ETH 2.0 has already been released. It's already a known thing that happened last year. And so one thing to understand here is the next big upgrade in the sequence is called EIP-1559. And basically what that is it's an upgrade to the ETH 2.0 ecosystem that's basically going to make Ethereum fully decentralized. Because as of right now, Ethereum has an infinite supply, even though it says that the supply is 116 million on CoinGecko. At any point, the creators, the developers of Ethereum could just inflate the supply to whatever they want. It's not truly decentralized. And this has been one of the big problems with Ethereum plaguing it and basically making it more of a centralized payment system than anything decentralized like Bitcoin. And so with this upgrade, it's going to fully make Ethereum decentralized. And one thing to understand, the most bullish part of all of this is actually the deflationary aspect of EIP-1559. Every single transaction will burn a portion of the Ethereum. And so this is basically going to make a lot of those transactions burning off Ethereum, making the supply decrease less and less and less. And the fact is, guys, Ethereum has a much bigger network than Bitcoin does. Much more people use Ethereum between the NFT community, between the DeFi community, between people just making their own cryptos in general. Smart contracts, all of these things are locking up portions of Ethereum. And not just locking up portions of Ethereum, but every transaction, once this new measure is implemented, is going to be burning some of that Ethereum. It's going to make Ethereum truly deflationary instead of inflationary. And so we've seen all of these great price returns from Ethereum without any sort of deflationary mechanism. So once this gets implemented, this is what is really going to set the precedent for a big blow off top to close out the end of the year. Now, guys, I've summarized why that's valuable. I've summarized my thoughts behind that. Now, let's actually talk about something else here. Let's talk about why I think that once this actually releases, once the EIP 1559 news comes out, we're actually going to see a price decrease. Now, this is just your classic example of buy the rumor, sell the news. So in 4 days, be about right here. This is when we're going to see the release of EIP 1559. I personally believe that Ethereum will rally up to this resistance. Come the release of that news, we're going to get rejected here. And then that's when we're going to fall back down to about $2,300 per ETH. In my opinion, that is going to be the point in which you really want to enter back into that market. It could fall even a little bit lower, guys, because the thing is that we have some type of a inverse head and shoulder that is forming technically. So in my opinion, we will get some sort of a sell-off right here, and that sell-off should be used as a good opportunity to rebuy into ETH. I would not get too excited trying to FOMO buy into ETH right now, right as we're approaching this major resistance. I don't think that we're going to break this major resistance. I think it's likely that we would actually pull back upon the release of this news. So this is my thoughts and perspective moving forward with Ethereum. Wanted to give you guys my update on why I think that this is actually really bullish, but in the short term, we will get a pullback. Wait for that pullback. That will be the time where you really want to scale back into ETH, low leverage longs, whatever it is. Regardless, guys, I'm not personally going to be longing ETH. I'm personally going to be longing other altcoins, but nonetheless, ETH is still going to be that driver value inside of the altcoin market. market. So we really need to pay attention for this. I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that I still am expecting a pullback. I think that pullback will happen right at this $28,000, $29,000 resistance. Be aware of this. Understand that you're going to get an opportunity to jump back in. A lot of these altcoins that have been making great gains will pull back. So if you felt like you missed out on accumulating some of these, know that you really didn't miss out. You're just going to need to be a little bit more patient. Now, guys, the final bit of information that I wanted to cover on today's video is actually the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is something that we've been watching for a little while now. We've been consolidating inside of this ascending triangle formation, and we have recently had a slight deviation from that, right? The price technically broke outside of this for a short period of time and then immediately rejected. And so something to keep a note of, guys, we were watching that if this was actually going to break bullish, we would have saw a price target of about 56% dominance. This would have saw Bitcoin dominance rise significantly, bled the altcoin pairs a lot, but we're actually seeing the opposite of that. We're actually seeing this pattern starting to fail, and it's more likely that this is going to be breaking down. Assuming that support doesn't hold right here, which it could, we're going to watch and see, and I'll keep you guys updated. We are actually throwing up a pretty bearish looking setup. Now, the thing with ascending triangles, guys, a little bit of information that I want to give you. The closer that an ascending triangle coils to the apex of this triangle, so like the very end of this triangle, the more and tighter that it squeezes inside of this, the weaker that that pattern gets. And so you generally want to see the ascending triangle break out right here. You have the first attempt, you have the second attempt, you have the first attempt at a breakout, you find support, you make a second attempt, you fall, and then usually after this third, or should I say second, bounce off of this trend line, that's where you'd want to see a breakout. But the fact is, guys, we have now had 3 different attempts at breaking this resistance, and we've been rejected all 3 times. We're now closer and closer to the apex. Now we're seeing this nasty sell-off taking place. I personally believe that this is going to fail, and this is actually better for altcoins. We wanted to see altcoins take lead. We didn't want to see this Bitcoin dominance actually make another high, because that would have been very bad for our long-term holds. But the thing is, guys, this pattern's looking weak. I expect that this is going to actually fall, and the next fall for this is going to be a big one, guys. This is going to take us all the way down to these previous all-time lows. And in my opinion, this will be the one that actually takes us below those all-time lows. We can see a pretty big drop inside of the Bitcoin dominance here that I think is really going to set the stage. You know, about 20% dip. That's going to be a big return inside of these altcoins. We're going to see altcoins really start to lead the market again. And in my opinion, we're going to ultimately see this break below these all-time lows and make a new low. And so this is something that's setting up to be a great opportunity for altcoins to close out the end of the year. Exactly what I've talked about all along. I knew that the altcoins were going to really outperform come the end of this altcoin run, specifically the entire bull run. We have about 5 months left. And inside of those last 5 months is where the majority of our gains are going to be made. All the people that have been accumulating alts throughout all of this period of time, throughout all of the last few years, this is where we're going to fully see the altcoin dominance really take off. We're going to see altcoin pairs really outperform Bitcoin, and this is going to be the rally that you want to make sure you're taking those profits into. Maybe not this one so much, but the drop that we go to new all-time lows, you're going to want to take heavy profits, because this is going to be one of those opportunities where we're going to see some of the biggest gains of this entire cycle. Against the Bitcoin pairs especially, we have an opportunity of accumulating a lot of Bitcoin. My personal theory with all of this is I'm going to be looking to hold a lot more USDC stablecoins, staking stablecoins in the bear market, because I fully believe that we're actually approaching the very end of this bull run. And so we want to make sure that in this next run, when we see a lot of outperformance in the altcoins, we see a lot of strength in the altcoins outperforming their Bitcoin pairs by 10x plus, we want to make sure that we're locking up those profits, holding into something stable like a Tether or, you know, USDC, any of those stable coins, and then holding and just making sure that we're taking those profits. Because, guys, we've accumulated for a long time. We have taxes that we're going to need to pay off. We really want to make sure that we're not losing all of our profit that we've made over the last couple years inside of just this bear market. Because the thing is, guys, most of your profits will be wiped out within the first month of the bear market. When the bubble pops, it comes down quick. And if you're somebody that wasn't ready and prepared to sell beforehand, you're simply going to end up holding all the way back down to the bottom. That's just the way the psychology works. Your mind's going to do everything in its power to continue to trap you inside of those failing positions. You've just watched over the last couple of years as altcoins, Bitcoins have uptrended, done so well. Once the bear market rolls around, you're going to just automatically get in your head assuming, oh wow, I'll just hold, I'll just wait, it'll go back up again, and then that's just the trap that ultimately makes you lose all of your money. And so this is going to be the big rally that we want to make sure we're taking profits. We want to make sure that we're keeping that money to diversify into other things. Maybe you guys have debt, maybe you guys need to buy a new vehicle, maybe you guys want to pay off or potentially go to school, any of these amazing things that can really benefit your life. You got to really remember that during the point of all of this profit, it can get very delusional. You can become out of touch with reality, with some of your goals that you had set maybe 2 years ago. Because guys, I can guarantee you that a lot of you people 2 years ago, however long you've been in crypto, you came into this with a goal of making money for whatever reason. Whatever that reason was to you, you came in here and you really wanted to be able to make money to maybe pay off debt, like I said, buy cars, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You guys had a goal in mind, and chances are you've outperformed your goals, or you will outperform your goals by the end of this year. And it's really easy to, once you outperform those goals, forget about what your goal was entirely, and then just get stuck in the market cycle, make a bad decision, lose all of that money back, and then you're stuck there, not able to accomplish your goal, knowing you could have accomplished your goal, and then you lost all of your money to do so, which is a very sad feeling, because I've experienced it in the last cycle. I made good money, but then I lost it all back because I didn't know enough about how to preserve that capital. This cycle, I'm teaching you guys all of my biggest mistakes from the last one, and I'm applying them to make sure that you guys can make some profits when it comes time to close. I'm telling you, we're going to see the biggest amount of profit made over the next 5 months. We want to make sure that we're out of the market. We want to make sure that we're taking our profits and doing the things that we promised ourselves we would. I've already seen people paying off debts. I've already seen people doing all of these things, and it's really important to remember, if you hit your goals, take that profit and do what you said you were going to do. You might miss out on some game. Maybe you can keep some profit in there still, just with the potential that it goes up higher. But if you guys got in within the last 6 months, maybe the last year, you really were only going to get in for the short term anyways. You don't want to hold and buy right now expecting, oh, I'll just hold the next 4 years and be good, because that's just dumb. Most of these coins will make such big bear markets, 90+% declines in price, that you might have bought, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it'll still go below that entry if you hold in the bear market. That's just the way it goes. So don't get trapped in these emotions. Don't get trapped in these positions. Take your profits. Use that money to what you said you were going to do from the very start, and I can promise you guys you'll be much better off. Whether that's even that you guys just hold stable coins, stake those stable coins, and wait until the bottom of the bear market to rebuy that dip. All of these are going to be sound strategies, but the worst thing you can do is hold all of that, not take any profits, and then lose all of the opportunity. Because what's going to happen if you don't take profits, you're going to end up holding all the bear market. You're going to pretty much have no capital to rebuy the dip and compound those gains. And chances are you're going to buy a bunch of altcoins that will take years and years to pump again. And you might wait all the way until the end of the next bull market before you ever break even again. I've seen this happen a lot, and you don't want to make those mistakes. So anyways, guys, this is the video I had. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to join the Discord server or download my free ebook, links are provided for you in the description for that. For the people that want to join my private group, download my course in signals, all of this stuff, links are also provided for you in the description for that as well. Thank you all so much for the support, and with all that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.